2026, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, said he desired Canada to join the United States as its 51st state, annexing the territory which we know here is Canada, which is currently under the Crown. Ever since this idea was pushed by Trump, Canada's relation with their neighbour has slightly declined. They have increased their relationship as a result with the UK, their Commonwealth partners like Australia, also the EU, and also China, to the dissatisfaction of the US. Such decisions are made in this building here, the Canadian Parliament, led by Prime Minister Mick Carney. Join me as we explore how sovereign Canada really is in protecting its territory. The architecture around here is outstanding. You can see the buildings around me. Very colonial in their design. And I see a building in front of me which I wouldn't call British architecture, rather French, and there's a reason why. That building over there. That there is the Hotel Chateau Vermont-Laurier in Ottawa here in Canada. And it is French architectural design, dedicated to this gentleman here, the statue, Mr. Laurier. And a bit of surprising history here is that the construction and the opening was delayed because a lot of the furniture was from Europe. The gentleman, the owner, Hayes, was travelling around Europe getting all the fanciest furniture about, and he chose a ship to deliver it here to Canada, and that ship had its maiden voyage and it sank in 1912, April 1912, and that ship was the Titanic.
She's already in there somewhere? Okay, thank you.
Here's some Canadian war heroes who are recipients of the Victoria Cross here. There's Mr. Cable here. You have Major Paul Triquet, General Sir Arthur Currie here. So, lovely wee statues and busts dedicated to the heroes of Canada and the Commonwealth. Very nice, very imposing, and adds to the atmosphere of this city of Ottawa, which I'm only here for an hour because I'm catching the train to Montreal.
No, wasn't conducting around, so I just ran.
I just haven't seen your ministers before.
We got him caught in the church out. I heard somebody shout, "Thanks so much, buddy."
Welcome to a very wet Montreal. I've woken up. I didn't video anything last night when I got off my train because I was completely wrecked. All I did yesterday was go on the train, a 2-hour stop off in Ottawa. That was about it. So yeah, there wasn't much to film. I just wanted to enjoy the rest of my day before sleeping, and boy, I got a good sleep. Welcome to Quebec. Quebec. In 1534, the first explorer came here to claim this land. His name, Jacques Cartier, a French name. He dedicated this land to France, and it became known as New France Quebec and New France. So it became a French colony for a good few hundred years until the British came. It was along the St. Lawrence River that this explorer Cartier sailed down, establishing settlements as he came down. Places like Montreal, establishing a settlement that was French in demographics. The entire territories of Quebec has a strong French population from a French diaspora hundreds of years ago. In fact, even today, they still speak French, and some would say their French influence is stronger than what European French is today, which we shall investigate. If the United States knew that Quebec, this part of Canada, spoke French, I doubt they would be happy annexing it, because in America they speak American, so that would destroy their linguistic legitimacy, so, I don't think Trump annexing Canada will happen anytime soon. The sovereignty of Canada lies in its diversity of language and culture and identity. It's a beautiful place, and I'll be showing you around and highlighting that diversity as we go along. After the British defeated the French in the 7 Years' War, in 1759, this part of Canada, the territory known as New France and Quebec, joined into British rule and British sovereignty. And there's elements of British influence here as well. So that column there is Nelson's column dedicated to the Battle of Trafalgar, which the British fought against the French and the Spanish navies. And you can see here Nelson up there. Believe it or not, this Nelson's column was erected before the Nelson's column, the famous one in London. To ensure the French population here was loyal to the British Crown, a very innovative policy was initiated known as the Quebec Act of 1774, in which these people here were culturally accommodated for, linguistically, religiously and education-wise. The reason why you still see French in the streets here is because of the British Quebec Act to promote loyalty and accommodation under the Crown. It's great to see, and the reason why you see Catholic churches here as well is because they were accommodated for as well, which is very innovative at that time when you think of the religious struggles in Europe at that time. And here is one of the examples that I was on about the Catholic Church remaining here and having influence in Quebec and Montreal. So this is the Basilica du Notre-Dame de Montreal, and it's very innovative at this time. When you think what was happening in Europe, in Ireland, even with the 1801 Act of Union, the penal laws still applied to members of the Roman Catholic Church, whereas people here in Quebec were receiving more rights than their Irish brethren under the United Kingdom. So people in the realms of the Commonwealth were receiving different liberties and different statuses due to cultural reasons, I guess. Because if they couldn't accommodate the Quebecois here, there would most definitely be rebellion and instability for the Empire and the Commonwealth. You can see here in the sign behind me here, Le Banque de Nouvelle-Écosse, the Bank of Nova Scotia, New Scotland. So when I was in Toronto, it was the Bank of Nova Scotia. Then here, because of the language, they have it in French. They've Francified it, or Quebecois it, you could say. Well, I think it's very fascinating. Even the stop signs, they say arrêt, meaning stop. In France don't even have signs that say arrêt. They say stop. They've anglicised it. This is what I mean. Quebec, you could argue, is more French than France itself. And just as I say, how French Quebec is and Montreal is. There's a statue here of Queen Victoria. The influence of France and Britain standing side by side here in Canada is very, very fascinating. There she is, Her Majesty Queen Victoria, standing mighty tall in the city of Montreal. It is such elements of loyalism that makes Canada different to the United States of America. Both are democracies, but one is a constitutional monarchy under the crown, loyal to the crown, and one's a republic, a state independent of any monarch, led by a president like Donald Trump. Both are democracies, but perform that in a very different way. So the idea of America annexing Canada, I don't know. Don't think it'll work out very well because both have very different views on what makes a democracy a democracy. Surprised to see it being William of Orange here in Montreal. Fascinating. That was a great time in the museum. Spent a good 3 hours in there looking around the history of the place. Pretty good. Shows you all about the indigenous culture and all in it as well. So no, that was very, very, very fascinating. So I'm gonna see if we can get a bite to eat now. So this is a poutine avec les smoked meat. Well, it's called in the menu. It's pretty good. It's good stuff. We're gonna have a look around the Marché Blanc now. It's like a wee market here in Montreal, so let's see what it's like inside. And there's souvenirs. Very cool. Pretty cool. Noticed a parade, not a parade, but a protest. Let's see what's going on. I think it's a Free Iran protest. How interesting. I really shouldn't be walking into things like this when I'm travelling, but you know what? You only live once. Let's experience Canadian protest culture. It was in French. The police there as well, pretty cool. Interesting. Looking at up there, the police cars and all as well. I walked away. Pretty cool. Believe it or not, I'm still in Montreal. I'm just in a wee park area known as Mount Royal. Big massive hill. It's got a fantastic view of the city, so join me as we climb up to the top. Jeepers, oh, this is some steep incline. What does this sign say? Merce, thank you for staying on the path. I'd assume. Merci de rester dans les sentiers. Oh baby. Oh baby, baguette. Right, let's get up this. Jeepers, oh. My feet are going to be pure mucky, and the hostel will not be happy. Jeepers, oh. It'd be funny if I caught myself on camera slipping and falling. Oh my goodness, it gets worse. Flip me. Oh my goodness. Flip. You have to remember this is in the middle of Montreal in the city. You won't get this in Central Park, that's for sure. Certainly we don't want to be falling, that's for sure. My goodness. You know, this very climb was made by that explorer, the French explorer Cartier, when he was in Montreal. So if an explorer can do it, I most certainly can do it. My goodness. This is slappy. I'll have to turn off the camera. You know, Montreal, before the colonialists came, the French, the Cartier, to claim this land for France, this place was under the territory of the indigenous Mohawk tribe. So we're in the lands and grounds of indigenous people. Oh, sorry, fiddle. So, it's very fascinating. In fact, the name of this place in French is Montreal, called Montreal. Basically is why Montreal is called Montreal. Montreal. So, this mountain here, Cartier claimed for the French, is why Montreal is called Montreal. I think I'm getting altitude sickness. Oh, I can't breathe. That's us at the summit. You can see the cross behind me there. That was a good hike. I'm exhausted now, but I can't. There's no view because the trees are in the way. So I'm going to find somewhere where it's clear to get a view. But that's a nice hike all the same. It's nice to get in around nature. It beats Central Park any day when you have the task of climbing a mountain as grand and as royal as this. Would you look at that? Our connection to the crown here in Montreal. It's pretty cool. Well, if you see the view in front of me, it is magnificent. We are in the skies. And this is just the wee building outside of the viewpoint there. It's class. That dedicated to Cartier, I'd assume. You can see here the lands, the paintings here. Like Cartier, I'd assume, with the Mohawk Native Americans up there. That painting, absolutely fantastic. There, I believe that's the truce in the late 18th century made between the Native American tribes here and the French, and it was that treaty that ensured the French could explore in round the territories known as Louisiana territories, which the United States would buy in the 19th century. So, quite the historical figure here in Canada, Cartier was.
Yo, el
I can see there an Irish pub, so I might go there in the evening for a drink. Seems like a lovely wee bar, all the same. It's fantastic, lovely streets. You'd think you're in France itself. So Quebec City is along the mouth of the St. Lawrence River, where it's a connector into the Great Lakes. And you can see that with all the shipping coming through it. So if you see here, on the left hand side of me, one of these big ships carrying all the freight. You know where the destination is. It could be Chicago, it could be Toronto, it could be even closer, like Montreal. But this is quite a shipping route here, one of the biggest shipping routes probably in North America here that you see. And in front of me here is one of the most famous landmarks in Quebec, Hotel. This here is Le Chateau Frontenac here in City. This is probably the most elegant hotel at its time in North America. It was built in the 19th century. Think of all the dignitaries and officials who would have stayed in this beautiful hotel along Dufferin Terrace. Dufferin, dedicated to the man from County Down, Northern Ireland. So the connection here again. So just up here, probably at the highest point of Quebec City here, and I'm at the Citadel of Quebec. Now it used to be French, and then the British redeveloped it to create it into a fortress known as Gibraltar, North America, in 1820, and it is still used by the military, not by the British, but the Canadian here. So it's pretty cool. It's a massive fortress. I tell you, the walk up here though is crazy. I'm exhausted. I need a glass of water. So hopefully we'll go into a wee cafe here soon. Well, it's now the evening here in Quebec City, and what a lovely evening it is. It's roasting here, very nice. But I think it's pretty clear that America ain't going to annex Canada anytime soon. It's so unique in terms of its culture, in terms of its identity, in terms of its language. Everything about it is very different to the United States. So Canada is its own sovereign nation, and they should be very proud of it, both in Quebec and Ontario, the places that I've travelled to on this trip. What a magnificent place.